Throughout the book, many of your students will be asked to create products that evidence their understanding and mastery of the content that was discussed in that chapter. Many of the content products that your students create are going to be made using web-based tools, often called as Web 2.0. Problem is that many of these tools ultimately collect information about your students. And so how do we make sure that we are meeting the requirements of the law and also protecting the students' privacy as well as all of the information that is collected about them? Well, what governs this is the idea of COPPA. COPPA is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. And if you search for this law, you'll see that it was a federal law enacted in 1998. And there's some really good resources online that we're not really going to go into for the purpose of this training video. But instead, what we're going to do is just a real cursory overview to talk about what it is. What COPPA talks about is that children, which essentially is anyone under the age of 13, may not have personally identifiable information collected about them by web providers. Now, web providers can stretch a wide range of online resources, from website hosts to movie-making software to graphic organizer software that's online. There's so many different tools that are available. And so when we think about how these tools are utilized, in many cases, they are used to mine for information that these third-party commercial websites can use to advertise or market their products and services to a larger audience. So how can we make sure as teachers we are not violating COPPA by making it so that our students are providing information, if they are under the age of 13, that would be considered personally identifiable? Now, there is a catch. As long as the web provider can verifiably prove that they have parental consent to collect information, they're allowed to be able to have students under the age of 13 on their sites utilizing it and adding information to it about themselves. Many of these web providers pass that responsibility of obtaining that consent on to the school or the teacher. Some send parents an email asking them to verify that their children are allowed to use that site. An example where this is not the case, however, is in Powtoon. So I want to give you some tools or some tips in your arsenal for how you can be more thoughtful about the tools that you allow your students to use, especially in this activity guide, or require your students to use to create the products that they are going to be generating as a part of their activities. So Powtoon, it's an example of a web-based presentation software. It's very engaging. Students really enjoy using it. So what's the COPPA requirements here as a part of Powtoon? Well, many of our web providers will, as we scroll close to the bottom, have a lot of that legal jargon, or what we often call their privacy policy or terms of use or terms and conditions, located near the very bottom. And as expected, down here at the bottom of Powtoon, we see that very thing. So if I click on the privacy policy, you'll see that we have some language here about what information they collect and what they use it for. As we scroll down, one of the most important things we see is that they have a specific paragraph directed right to COPPA and their compliance with it. What you'll notice is that they say they explicitly do not collect information knowingly for anyone under the age of 13, and thereby are directing all of their services to those people who are at least 13 years or older. Notice there is no language in here saying that a school or a teacher can get consent on behalf of them, nor does it say anywhere where they will be willing to contact parents and get that informed consent so that they can verifiably identify that children who are using their site and under the age of 13 have that permission. So in this case, we're going to need to find, if our children that are in our classroom are under the age of 13, we're going to have to find another tool to use with them, because this particular tool, the language of its privacy policy, does not explicitly allow for that. So I'm not trying to scare you, to make you fear that the information that students are contributing to the web is out being marketed all over the internet. But it's important as teachers to make sure that we are modeling and we're abiding by the privacy policies of these web providers, that even though the web tool may be free, it doesn't mean that we are able to promote it or use it with our students who are under the age of 13. So make sure you review these privacy policies to ensure that your students are using the tool in an ethical and a legally compliant manner.